So I'm going to talk about my childhood and how it affected like my faith journey and how it got me to like where I am now in my faith. So ever since I was a baby, I was raised in the Catholic Church. I was like baptized, went through First Communion, all that. I always went to church with my family on Sundays. It'd be like our family thing that we would go do. But as I grew older, I began to realize like how God is actually a part of my life and how I fit into like the church. So one of the things that made me realize this was in middle school. I stumbled across this quote: "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass, it's about learning how to dance in the rain." And I know a lot of people think that's cheesy, and that it like is just some like dumb quote. It doesn't really mean anything, but if you really like look into it, there's actually a deeper meaning. And so the reason that I like it is because it really speaks to like how God's plan has affected like my life. God's plan wasn't really easy for me, but He put my family through some difficult times. But as I reflect, I know that He knew what was right for us and that He only gave us what He could handle. So I know that going through all those tough times only made us stronger. And even though like everyone wishes they had a perfect life, that's just not going to happen, and you just have to kind of deal with what you get dealt. But when I think about the quote, two people in particular come to my mind, my mom and my dad. So first, I'll talk about how my mom reminds me of this quote. So when I was 6 years old, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. Her only choices for treatment were to get a liver transplant and to start chemotherapy. So what my family did was they packed everything up in like the span of a month, and they took a couple of my aunts and uncles and they went to China to get her liver transplant because that was the quickest way they could do it. She needed it. So they spent about 3 weeks there, 2 weeks waiting for her liver to become available, and then 1 week just like recovery before they could fly home. That was a really like long journey for them. They had to go all the way there and just like waiting around, hoping that every day a liver would become available, was just hard for them. And I think they really had to turn to God through that time to just give them strength. But my mom did get a liver, so she came back actually on her birthday with a cancer-free liver, so that was great. So then after that, she started chemo, and that's hard on anyone. She lost like her hair, she lost her strength, but she never gave up, and she just kept pushing through. After a whole round of chemo, she was cancer-free, so that's great. And then about 6 months after the news of her being cancer-free, more cancer was found. So at this point, the only thing they could do was start her on chemo again. So they started her on chemo again. All we could really do was hope and pray for the best. So she had to go through all that again, losing her hair and all that. And then eventually it came to a point where there was really nothing more they could do. So basically they just made her comfortable. We started her in in-home hospice, so she was like at home in one of our rooms. She still had like the care of the hospice nurses and everything. And this was the best option for us because me and my brother were little, so we still got to see her. Like she was still at home, and my dad was working from home, so he got to like be with her all the time, which was good. And then after about 2.5 years of her battling with cancer, she passed away on February 19th of 2009. She was finally like up in heaven, which was really great. And even though like cancer was one of the worst things that can ever happen to someone, she didn't really let it get to her. And she was always like the light whenever she walked into a room, like the life of the party. She like helped out in my classroom. Like she was a class mom, even though she was like going through like so much hard stuff. And she was like so positive and encouraging, and she was like really strong for us. Like my dad, my brother's 4 years younger than me, so like he didn't really know what was going on. She didn't really like wait around just to like for the chemo to work. Like she was our class mom. She like did things. She didn't let it get to her basically. So she fought really hard, but sometimes that's just not how life works out. But so it was really hard, like on my family. My dad, he was working from home at the time. I was 8 when she passed away. My brother was 4, so like we didn't really have a great understanding of like what was going on. So he had to be like really strong for all of us, and I don't know how he did it, but So we had like extended family and friends, like always there to like support us, like bring us dinners, call us, like they would visit. But there's really only so much that they can do when you're going through like something like that. So basically, we are faced with two options. We could either like wait around for something eventually good to happen, which who knows how long that would have been, or we could push through the pain and be stronger for it. So what we decided to do was my dad took a job in Wilmington where I'd lived before, and we started our new chapter. We were in a new neighborhood, a new school, with new opportunities, but we still had my mom watching us, being our guardian angel. It definitely wasn't easy on my dad, but he still like went to work every day. He still made dinner for us every night. He still made sure like we were doing good in school and that we were getting our schoolwork done. And like he didn't just wait around. He like danced in the rain, and I'm like really thankful for him for that. And like going through that time, and like still sometimes now you kind of wonder like, why do bad things happen to good people? Like that's not fair. Like why did that happen to us? But my dad always said that life isn't fair and you just kind of have to deal with it, and that you have to trust in God's plan and that he knows what's right, and he'll never challenge us with something we can't handle. And so he'll challenge us, and he wants us to become stronger from that. So we just need to trust. And so I've chosen to trust, and I've chosen to dance in the rain even when things are hard, and knowing that I have like people watching down on me from heaven like really helps with that. And even though like that was a bad situation and my family like had to go through that, we still were like stronger for it because we knew that like we could just trust in God and like he was always there for us, and as long as we trusted in him.